Hi, I hope everyone is well. Things have been very busy. I'm Ev, and I'm here to talk about the middle to the end of March. We have a lot going on. I'm going to be sharing the screen so you could look at the ephemeris together. And if you bear with me, you will see the ephemeris here. And here we go. So this is what astrologers look at, and I'm going to go back to today. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way. And the first thing I want you to look at, and you're going to say, well, why do we look at this in the first place? The reason why you look at astrology is to remind you that things change all the time. And every single new moon, every single Aries season, which we'll talk about, is unique. So astrology is a unique phenomenon because it's a timepiece. It tells you about time and space. Every single person born in that particular time and space has a unique fingerprint. But if you look at the ephemeris and you see, if you click day by day, all these planets are moving, and not only are they moving, but as they move, they form different geometric relationships to each other, and each one of these lines describe that. So let's start with the first thing that we see today is this ending of Pisces season with the new moon coming up tomorrow. And we have Mercury, the planet of communication, kissing, holding hands, it's Mercury retrograde, with the North Node opposite the South Node, which has to do with, it's very personal, with our purpose and what's familiar to us and what is not familiar. It's like very personal. So this, what we're going to be thinking about, talking about, will be very personal and spiritual in nature because of all this Pisces energy. This is very rare to have so many planets and points in Pisces and so many planets lined up in Aries. And then to have the three outermost planets sextile to one another, showing opportunity. So, in the middle of all this, with Neptune in the middle, that's an outer planet. So how does this relate to you? Well, if you have in your natal chart any of these planets, Jupiter, 15 degrees Cancer, Pluto, 4 to 5 degrees Aquarius, and the new moon or the sun in 28 degrees Pisces, and any planets in Aries, you're going to feel it. So let's continue on to the new moon. New moon, if you've been following me, you know the new moon is when you start a new idea. You discover new ideas and you start thinking about it inside. You don't project it out. You might redesign a business plan. There might be a new relationship, just new things. But it's the seed. It's what we think about before we start it in action, okay? So every new moon is very unique because if you go back to the last new moon, because a new moon is when the sun and the moon are together and you can see it's 28 degrees Pisces, 27 degrees. Next new moon season will be Aries. Well, next new moon will be next month, which will be Aries season. And then the following one, it goes in order, will be Taurus new moon. and then a Gemini new moon, and then a Cancer new moon. But as the moon and the sun come together once a month, all these other planets are moving in their own direction, in their own speed and pace, which makes the signature very different every time. Just like your personal signature is different, and you don't always sign it 100% the same exact way, but you have a style. So these planets have their own rhythm, their own energy, and their own path. So just keep that in mind, that every season is uniquely different, because we're not going to have these Aries season again with the outer planets exactly the way they are.
It's 3:30.
Okay? Next, we're going to look at, here's your new moon. New moon, and it's very close to the Saturn and Neptune conjunction. This is a big deal. A lot of the astrologers that I follow have been speculating about this connection. What is it going to mean? Well, we're in it right now, and we could see the dissolving Neptune of corporate and control structures, these blocks for the self, what has been blocking individuality. And this is also in line with all this energy in Aries. Aries is the coat or the costume that each planet is wearing, which is bold, courageous, volatile. And we see that right now. But it's kind of spiritual at the same time. And Mars, the ruler of Aries, is in Pisces. So the action is based on spirituality, the things that we don't see, that are not quite apparent, that could be confusing, all right, or delusional. So this is a time to get very spiritual and focus on yourself. Focus on the stuff that you can control, not on things that you cannot control. Be careful of getting caught up in the political warfare, and stay present to yourself. Does that affect your life at the moment? Are you alive? Do you still have your fingers and toes? You have to put things in perspective and show gratitude. Gratitude will get us through the toughest times. If you're following me, you're probably one of the more evolved souls out there, because the soul lives on. The physical body ends, we know that, but the soul will continue on. So as we go through now, very interesting times. Now you have 5 planets in Aries, and that's on the 19th. And you notice that there are very few squares, only one square. So anybody born right now on the 18th will have, like one square in their chart. I've never seen that. As many years as I've been looking at charts, never. So that is interesting too, but lots of opportunities, lots of flowing, and, very little opposition as well with the personal planets. And you see now that Mercury is at the storm or stationing stage on top of it. You see all the things going on. These are life-changing events. So we continue on the 19th. Still, Mercury is at the same degree, very close to the North and South Node, very karmic energy. And now we have 6 planets because I count Chiron in Aries, on the spring equinox, which is 0 degrees Aries by definition, conjunct to Neptune and the Saturn configuration. And we have the planet of beauty, Venus, the healing asteroid, and the moon all together, triple conjunction, which is going to make this a very emotional time, this new Aries season. So think about Aries. Aries is springtime, spring equinox. Equinox meaning equal time. We're going to have 12 hours of sun or light and 12 hours of night. 12 hours a day, 12 hours of night. That happens during the equinox. And we'll have another one when it's Libra. Okay? And that's what happens. But they're always different. See, the lineup is different. And these planets are always communicating with each other. And if you don't follow Pam Gregory or Stephen Judd, Rick Levine, who talks a lot, but he's very knowledgeable, and Heather Ellsworth, I believe is her name. Forgive me for not having it written down in front of me. But they put out really good information, especially Heather and Pam. Check it out. They're both on YouTube. So this going on over here is never before seen. Never. So what does it mean? Well, we can't even compare it. Heather was saying that she went back to 10,000 BCE, and we can't really pinpoint it. That's a long time ago. So we can say that these changes that are happening now have to do with the whole species, the human species, the whole planet. What's happening? And you could only speculate. So the sun is in Aries. It's the Aries season. It's all about new things, planting your seeds, expecting the growth and the seeds to sprout and to go through the whole season of the year. So this is a new year, and we are in the beginning. And then we will continue, and I hope you continue with me as we explain the zodiac and the wisdom of the zodiac. How it starts with the self. You're born. Here you are, new and exciting. Have you seen little baby ducks, baby anything, human babies, puppies, kittens? They're the most adorable things you've ever seen. And it just makes you stop in your track, and it just brings so much joy. So this is a time where, the birds and the bees, the animals get out from the long winter. It's exciting. Think about a new pair of shoes or a new outfit. It's exciting. So it's a very exciting time, and it's all about you, just you. So you're called to love yourself, to heal yourself, to go inward, be introspective. And we're also going to talk about the moon void of course. If you haven't heard of it, I will explain it to you. Think of it like a Mercury retrograde, but it happens every 2 to 3 days in the month. So it's minutes, but now it's going to happen in hours. So, for example, in my notes on the 21st, which will be right here, we have a void of course with the moon conjunct also actually the moon will be in Taurus and it's void of course. So all you have to know is that when the moon is in void of course, just know that you don't do anything other than routine stuff because it won't work out the way you want it to work out. So we'll see here the void of course. If I could find it. So I got my little planner out that has the void of courses. Remember, I said every 2 to 3 days, but they're usually a few minutes, maybe an hour. But on Wednesday, right here on the 18th during the new moon, the void of course is going to be from 9:23 p.m. until 12:03 a.m. Don't do anything, and usually it's just a few minutes, but so you have to be very cautious at that time. Now, most people don't pay attention to these subtleties. However, if you're doing something really important, it might be, since just be mindful, kind of lay low, do some routine stuff around the house. But then, on the 21st, we have another, actually on the 20th, my bad. Yeah, right here, we have another void of course from 5:23 a.m. until 10:46 a.m. That's almost 5 hours in the middle of or in the morning. That's a long time. So we have to be careful because we have spring equinox. We have the astrology new year. We have 6 planets in Aries. We have Mercury station in the same degree now for a while. Think of a top with all that energy kind of drills down, and it's next to the North Node, and it's still in the influence of Mars. Okay, so you have any planets in Pisces and Aries, let me know what's going on. You got to be feeling something and be extra cautious because of these voids, of course. Okay, now we also have, I wrote it down here, we're going to have on the 24th and the 25th and in April. We won't talk about the April one. So it's an interesting time where, it's very unusual, very unique, very unusual. So besides a Mercury retrograde, you have these void of courses with the moon. It has to do with emotions and stuff, but things don't work out the way you expect them to, so you might have to do it again. It's the moon, sort of like a Mercury retrograde. It's not very popular like Mercury retrograde, but soon enough it will be, because the more astrologers talk about void of course, then everyone will jump on the bandwagon. However, it happens about 15 times a month. So, but if it happens for, 3 or 4 hours out of the day, then you're not working with the energies. You kind of have to pay attention because things might get a little haywire. All right. So if you have any questions or comments, put them in the section there, the comment section. But we are in a very unique period of time we've all chosen to be here during this time. And we'll continue on to the next big thing on my list. So the last 10 days, we're going into the last 10 days of the month, and we're going to look at the power structure, struggle and structure with Saturn approaching a sextile here with Pluto, which is opportunities. However, I believe that these power struggles are going to dissolve with this top-down corporate greed, all these big industries, a handful of billionaires that control the world, and eventually we're all going to be more equal, all like one. And here we go. So around the 28th, then we have Saturn and the Sun, self-discipline, some blocks, maybe being conservative, serious. It'll be a serious tone, but it's only for one day because the Sun moves way faster than Saturn, but they're at the exact same degree. And they're sextile to Pluto. So these could be some irreversible changes, spiritual in nature, or with a lot of invisible energies that we're not aware of. But this is quite a lineup. Not common, like I told you. And then, now it's exact on the 25th, which will be very interesting how that will pan out. So pay attention in your chart and see how that is going to play out. And here we go. 26th, you have a Jupiter and part of fortune contact in Cancer. See at 15 degrees, see where that is in your natal chart, and see where you're going to have expansion and luck, greatest joy, success, prosperity. And keep an eye on Aries energy in your chart, as we talked about before. But we have to keep talking about it because it's so potent. And as a preview, here we go, July 6th. This is what all the astrologers are looking at. 4 degrees Neptune in Aries, 4 degrees Uranus in Gemini, and 4 degrees Pluto in Aquarius. Sextile, opportunities. But Uranus is next to Mars, which is going to give it boldness, volatility in thinking, in innovation, in electronics, communication, related to this area here of spirituality, the invisible world, dissolving. Maybe information about the dissolving of these irreversible changes in government, or maybe not government, but religions that control our thoughts and things like that. Will be more enlightened. Uranus and Aquarius are the same energy. The ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, and that is unique, scientific, but it's awakening. And so is Aquarius. We're all in for a big awakening, huge awakening. And then we have the nodes in a new cycle, the cycle of Pisces and Virgo, and then Chiron in the new cycle with Taurus, possessions, stability, comfort. So the healing that we had for ourselves is now going to give us a healing of comfort. It will ease all that anxiety from the Aries and this anxiety right here. So stay away from too much news and information because it could be nerve-wracking. Okay? So that's a preview, and we all, as astrologers, have our eyes on it. But look and see if you have anything in your natal chart, 4 degrees in an air sign, because Gemini and Aquarius is air and or fire. Let me know. If you need me, you know how to reach me. Take care, and all my love. See you later.